this is going to be our video about being co-conscious, cofronting and blending. I'm Jenny, and I'm also co-fronting with Tabby right now, who is our little, who's about 6 or 7. She's very excited. If you see me wiggling, it's because I've got a squishy. Gotta helps de-stress. I'm kind of winging this video. I keep trying to overplan and write down notes, and I'm going to stand up behind the camera and, you know, do all that good stuff, but we're winging it. So, co-conscious. We are almost always co-conscious. Not all of us, because there's at least 19 active parts, and when we're co-conscious, it's usually a handful, 5 or 6 of us, sometimes less. And co-conscious is when, like the example I gave in the other video, where say you're driving a car and you have a bunch of passengers. Everyone is sightseeing, they see what's going on, they can see where you're going, they can see what you're doing, they can see what you're saying, who you're talking to. So they're witnessing the experience, and they are creating their own perspectives and memories of that experience. And when we're co-conscious, those of us who are co-conscious and present out here, and I guess the outer world, we can communicate with each other. We can't communicate with those on the inner world unless they come out here and are co-conscious with us. Now, if we go in on the inner world and I'm not out here anymore, I can communicate with people in the inner world and sometimes tell them a little bit about what's going on. But back to being co-conscious, yes, that's when a group of us are experiencing it together. The person fronting is the person that is driving the car. And co-fronting, which happens a lot for us with especially littles, when they're present, being co-conscious usually isn't enough. Not for our littles. We're a very little based system. We have a lot of age sliders and a lot of littles, so co-fronting happens a lot. So Tabby's co-fronting with me right now. Yes, I am co-fronting. I am here too, and it's like when we're all hanging out and we're reading a post on Facebook and everyone's like, no, you should say this, no, you should say that, and I'm like, no, make sure you add lots of hearts and unicorns and fairies, and you tell them you love them. And then Jenny's like, okay, everybody, listen, I'm already typing, just be quiet. Okay. Anyway, coming back here. She was going forever, rambling on. So yeah, co-fronting though is when more than one person has their hand on the wheel. More than one person is controlling the body. Like with Tabby just now, she can kind of just take the wheel whenever she feels like it. She can express herself and say whatever she wants out here. We don't usually have adult parts that are co-fronting together. It seems to kind of for us be mostly littles. On occasion we do have adults co-fronting, but it's rare. So I think that's kind of the gist of that. I don't think it's too complicated. I'm sure it's different for every system, but that's kind of how it is for us. Blending, on the other hand, is where even parts on the inner world can be blending with you when you're out here in the fronting. It's where you are still subconsciously tied to all your parts. You're all tied together. I mean, you're connected. So if something out here happens and it excites a part, or it scares a part, or causes some reaction, even if they aren't directly here to experience it on the inner world, they can still be triggered by an experience. And that feeling that they're experiencing can seep through to the person fronting. So when something happens and the person fronting suddenly gets really scared or really upset, and they don't really know why, we naturally identify with our feelings and we naturally come to a conclusion for them, even if we don't actually know that we're blending. We try to rationalize it because most people own their feelings. Because you're having a feeling, it's my feeling, I have to rationalize this feeling. And sometimes it can be really hard, because when you're blending with parts, which is happening for us, it happens a lot. So a lot of connections there. Every day things can trigger other parts, and when blending happens, the person fronting is also going to experience the emotions and reactions of the other parts they're blending with, whether they are aware that they're blending or not. A great example for even a uniconscious person blending is they're walking through the park and you see a couple arguing and they got a kid there, and it makes your heart hurt and you just want to cry. And naturally that's a response. Some people may not have as deep a response, but someone who has a really deep response might be because when they were children their parents argued and it made them want to cry, and now when they're seeing it older, that blending with that part of themselves when they were younger is triggering that emotion to be even stronger for them. But with parts, when you have a dissociative identity, it gets really, really complicated because different memories are stored with different parts and they're triggered by all sorts of things, whether it's something that's a smell, a sight, a sound. It could be good, it could be bad. But it happens on a lot of different levels, and some people with dissociative identity prefer to blend, some prefer to unblend. We are kind of not too terribly worried about blending or unblending. What we kind of are concerned about is recognizing when we're blending so that we can be there for parts, for good or bad things when they're triggered. And I guess when a part is also triggered by something good or bad, it's kind of going a little bit off topic, but blending doesn't always happen. A part can be triggered and pulled to the front, which means that either they're in the inner world or they're co-conscious with you. They can be pulled out to the front because that experience was so drawing to them, so impactful on their being, that it puts them out in the forefront, and then now they're out here, and it can cause a lot of things. It can cause, sometimes it's just exciting and it's just little that wants to run around and play. Sometimes it's a flight part or a fight part that may self-harm or isolate, or they all have different responses. So blending can be a good thing if you can learn to identify it. And I think I prefer blending with my parts and working with them than having them triggered and experiencing these things alone. It's just a matter of recognizing blending when it's happened so that all parts can be acknowledged that they play a part in that. So I think that that's kind of a little brief overview. It's kind of all I really wanted to do. It's not too complicated. I guess it is complicated, maybe. So here's our little video on coconscious, cofronting, and blending. Hope you've enjoyed it. See you later. Bye. Bye, everybody.
You